Like, I don't give a, you know what I'm saying? I don't care. You're like, because it's like, I cannot take opinions to NES. They do not accept them. Studio Bank does not accept them as well. Citizens doesn't accept them. So at the end of the day, like, am I going to do what's making me happy, or am I worried about what everybody else has to say?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the question, if you're listening in, and we'll kick off this conversation with that question. So how do you balance feelings and facts? So maybe feeling like, okay, well, my day one can start when I decide, and maybe my day one is February, of 2024. I'll think about 2024 plan. And maybe the facts might be, well, most enterprises plan for 2024 and Q3 the following year. How do you balance that? So I have two brilliant leaders that are sitting with me. And we're going to let that be the first question. So what do y'all think about that? Like, how do you balance feelings and facts?
How do you balance feelings and facts? Well, for your listeners, I'm Joshua Mundy, CEO, co-founder of Pivot Technology School. And how you balance that is you have to really sit in with your feelings. Like, you don't have to force yourself to be on, but you have to figure out, like, what is causing that feeling?
Yeah.
Like, what is that thing that you have to address that can get you or push you forward? Because I always call it that monkey. It's that monkey that you get on your back. It's like depression light. That's why it's not the full blown depression. Mm-hmm. It's depression light, where you carry on this like sentiment of you didn't hit your goals and that's just weighing on you. Mm-hmm. Or, you didn't, meet your revenue, and it's, those type of things weigh on you, and it weighs on your energy where you don't feel like planning for a new year. And I just feel like you have to really address those feelings and then figure out what type of routines can get you out of that feeling where you'll be excited about going into another 12 months of execution.
Yeah. Kirbee, what would you add?
Yeah, I would definitely say I invite both feelings and facts to the table. And that's a newer season over the last few years because, like many of you, my background taught me that I was more convenient and valuable when I didn't feel too much. So just stay with the facts, just stay on program, just be reliable, just be familiar. But what that does is that causes you to abandon yourself, and it causes you to abandon parts that have some brilliant intelligence. So for me, that journey has been inviting both facts and feelings to the table, and then getting really curious about those feelings, peeling away shame and expectation and just saying, you've got some intelligence here. Let me go to the root because I want to understand this, because I understand that I can't outrun it. If you're in the room, maybe you're like me, you're a feelings fugitive. Maybe you've tried to outrun your feelings for years, but you can't. So for me, the balance is inviting them to the table and understanding that as an analytical person, that I can look at the facts and make well-informed decisions, but then my feelings, my experience, my past experience, my current, my hopes for the future, those feelings also have a lot of intelligence. So it's kind of like a board meeting of both, and understanding that I don't have to shave off any part of myself to be convenient or meet a certain expectation, because when I reach my goals, I want to reach my goals as an integrated whole version of myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the feelings part matters more than sometimes we make space for. And I'm being challenged in the same way. So if you are part of our book club, so we started a Thrivers book club this year, and our first book that we're reading is called The Garden Within by Dr. Anita Phillips. And it is a hard read. She's incredible. She's brilliant, but it literally challenges me to the point where I'll see the book on my desk and I'm like, I can't even do that. I can't even do it today. Like, I'm not in the right headspace. I can't even go there with you today. I got to stay in the facts. Okay.
You're running.
But it has been such a paradigm shift that so much of who we are and how we operate really has to do with how we feel. And so I think as a leader, one of the ways that you build better is knowing who you are and paying attention to those feelings. And so it's the self-awareness part of emotional intelligence that I think helps us to know how to take the facts and allow the facts to help put the guardrails up around our feelings, but not to totally dismiss our feelings. And so I think you have to have both. But I'm learning, I guess maybe similar to you, and even what Josh said about the having the monkey on your back and that depression and kind of feeling down when you aren't hitting your goals. It's like, okay, I need to acknowledge that I feel that, but then what do the facts say? And what I have found is like the reflective process in actually looking at what I've been able to accomplish, like the impact that we've been able to create through the business has helped me to bring my feelings, like it's like, okay, you steering too far to the right or to the left, get back in the lane, and keep moving forward. Yeah. In that same way, I'm curious for both of you. So if you take a second and think about like what you felt like this time last year. So the end of 2022, coming into 2023, knowing that you wanted to launch a book, coming off of was that your Entrepreneur of the Year win?
Yeah.
With the EC? Yeah. So you coming in, with all this energy and fired up and these big goals. Talk to me about what that felt like coming into 2023 and then how you're feeling sitting here at the end of 2023.
You want to take that first? Listen, so like I really had a lot of energy going into 2023 and a lot of momentum. And I rode that momentum, and I felt like 2023 was like a roller coaster ride. Yeah. It was like a whole bunch of highs and a whole bunch of lows. But I really chose this year to like be about me. Like I really wanted to like nurture myself because I felt like I was giving so much to everybody else. And I was like, well, I wanted to find myself again. Like I wanted to explore and I wanted to travel. I wanted to just do what I wanted to do. I'm DJing. Like I'm just doing all the things that I always wanted to do and just not care about what people's thoughts of what I should be doing. And just really like lean into myself. So I really started to do that a lot. And then business wise, like it changed, it shifted when it came to like who we were serving. So, we do a lot in the diversity and inclusion space. We like train black tech talent. Well, a lot of those budgets got cut in 2023. So we had to pivot like 20 or 30 times to really find our lane, to really figure out where our revenue was coming from. So we had those struggles. But, I always try to lean in on gratitude. Like, what can I be grateful for? Yeah. And so going into 2024, it was like, now we're planning on like bringing on new team members. That's what we are. Cause we feel like every time I left and I came back, I told you this, like the house is on fire. And I'm like, yo, like, I can't leave for 3 or 4 days and everything's burning down. So it's like, now I feel like renewed that we're bringing on new energy that can take us to where we want to be.
Yeah.
So,
what would you say was the biggest curveball of 2023 for you?
The biggest curveball, all the no's we were getting. Yeah. Same. So, we were running on a lot. So from going into 2022, from 2022 to 2023, we was coming in off of hot, coming off like a huge Google deal. Yeah. Like we just got off the stage at Afrotech, coming from Afrotech to Google saying, yo, we gonna cut you, submit your paperwork right now. We're gonna cut you a check that was stupid. And I didn't have to do anything for it. It was just like that momentum was just rolling. And so like now we're just in a space of like sheer like gratitude, getting everything back to where we need to be to carry that energy on through 2024 to 2025. So
yeah. And I gotta ask you one more question. Like, how do you, because like for the leaders that are listening, I just sense that even in the room, it's refreshing to hear that like maybe, oh, I'm not the only one, right? That's like experiencing the rejection or experiencing, I aimed for this, but this is the actual reality. How do you, as the CEO, as the leader, like recalibrate your mindset so that you can keep the team moving forward, even though y'all are getting the no's?
So I call this thing like every morning I have a talk with my demons. So every morning. So I wake up and and when we say demons, it's like your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind is the one telling you that you can't do it. It's that voice. It's like, oh man, no, you're doing too much. Oh no, why are you working out like that? You know, that's crazy. You know, you can eat this or you can do this. It's those talks I have to talk myself to say and fight those demons before I start fighting the world. So when you fight your inner, you can fight better on the outside. So I really learned how to just lean in on that and to like recalibrate myself just with myself, leaning in on myself, meditating, whatever I had to do to really get my mind to say, man, all right, I want to start fighting again. Because, you know, I got beat up. You know, I got beat up and I was laying in the bed like everybody else. I'm like, man, I'm
about June, July,
listen,
like me.
I'm sleepy at 1:00. Why am I sleepy at 1? We know what that is. You know, you sleep, you yawn, and I'm like, why am I sleepy?
Listen.
It's 1:00, it's 2, but it's like your energy gets zapped and it's like you have to like fight in with that, like, okay, no. I'm going to get up. I got to go work out. Or I got to go, you know, join a boxing class, do something to get that energy off where I can say, all right, cool. Let's go. Let's get at it. You know?
Yeah. So good. Kirbee, what about you? What's been one of the biggest curveballs for you this year?
Yeah, I would say kind of going back to your initial question, because I do want to answer that too, just about the energy going into 2023. The backdrop of that was kind of a quote that I love that says, write your purpose in pen, but your path in pencil. And in this period, I've been giving myself more permission and grace to edit as needed. And so that was the energy that I went into 2023 with, that, hey, I can edit as needed. I can show up for myself. Writing a whole book called Nourish, a guide to coming home to yourself, because I needed that, because that was coming out of a space where I felt like I was suffocating in plain sight, like I was doing all the right things, but couldn't catch my breath for myself. So going into 2023, it was really that permission giving type of energy. Sounds good. But then you still have those days where you get hit with things where you're just like, I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't prepared for this. And you get tempted to just park and just stand still and just let life go by and just try to rally the troops. But then with that energy, I've had to remind myself that that's okay. But then also really making sure that I have the tools to re-engage with life, to re-engage with my purpose, because I do understand that this thing is finite, but we have infinite potential. And that's what helps get me out of park. And so when we think about some of the curveballs, I would say I've had beautiful curveballs, some unexpected, beautiful things that have come into my life. And then there have been those ones that knock the wind out of you and then dare you to keep going. And so I've had a combination of those this year. And what I remind myself is that that's part of the human experience, and try not to overly personalize that, because sometimes we can think, how did I get this mix of scenarios? Maybe I just don't have the right tools to do what this person is doing. Maybe my conditions aren't right. Maybe I'll always be a bystander watching everyone else's success. Those stories can play in your mind. And so for me, it's just that sharp reminder that you have the tools, you have the resources, having those days where you're like, could I just pull the covers over my head and melt into the bed and let life pass me by? We all have those days. But that we are still here. And we still have options. So I would say that's kind of been the concert to that roller coaster ride for me. So some of those curveballs may have been just around like pace. Sometimes you can set these goals and you're like, oof, okay, this is what this will look like in 3 months. And then you reach 3 months and you're like, okay, well, we're still in the lobby of the experience, maybe 6 months. But that just, I had to remind myself of, okay, the path's in pencil. What else do you need? Because you are really clear about what you're here to do. Just releasing myself from kind of those calendar dates sometimes, and then inviting myself back into the experience and my why.
Yeah, that reminds me of being in a room, actually doing some strategic planning for an organization here. And it was a group of leaders. here in Nashville. And I was in a group with Dr. Michael Bertram, and he said something that like stopped me in my tracks. And I think about it often. We were talking about just the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Nashville. And he said essentially that the average business, successful business, changes their business model at least 12 times. And like he kind of just said, you know, he's brilliant. If you've ever sat in a room with him, talked with him, very gifted at teaching. And I sat there for a minute, and he just kind of like said it in passing. And I said, you know, tell me like 12. He's like, yeah. And he kind of just walked through and gave a couple of examples of businesses, and it is that it is like you have this purpose and this goal that you're after, but the way that you get there will look different. And then in his case, he's like, the best businesses, that's actually what happened. Like, and then of course my mind immediately went to Amazon. It's like, they don't just sell books, but like the goal was that this is about selling books online. And like, now I order toilet tissue on, you know, Amazon. Like, we order everything on there. So that's such a great reminder.
Yeah.
I'm curious for both of y'all, what would you say kind of has been the biggest accomplishment of this year? Like, what do you like? I'm proud of that.
Man,
hold on. I know we got books. If y'all listening in, okay.
Listen.
Books, and also because you both launched books this year. And actually today, if you're listening in, did y'all tell me what today is? It's December the 19th.
It's the 19th.
December the 19th of 2023. So this is actually a book in hand day for Josh.
Yes, it is.
So shout out.
Come on.
Talk to us about the book, and then tell us about one other accomplishment.
Yeah, so I decided at the top of the year that I was one to write a book. I've been talking about it for the last 3 years. And for a lot of y'all that don't know my story, a tornado came and hit all my businesses on March the 3rd, 2020. So pretty much wiped me out. But it really just talks about how God prepares you for storms that you don't know is coming. And storms are not always here to like to destroy you, but sometimes they're here to elevate you to a whole nother level. So that's what the book is all about. So 2019, like I went to Austin, Texas with the Chamber of Commerce. We was going to all these technology hubs. We was going to places that looked like my co-working space, which is what's called the Lab Nashville. When I went there, it exposed me to the world of technology. And I was just watching how all these people were in there coding, learning how to code, building tech companies, raising millions of dollars. But it was nobody that looked like me. And so I came back home inspired. Now, I do not have a technology background. I do not know how to code. I've never, ever even thought about tech. But like God, I heard God's voice, like, as clear as I'm talking to you, it's like, Josh, I need you to open up a technology school, literally. So when I got back home, I said, man, you know what? I'm gonna turn the lab into an innovation hub. And we're gonna be teaching coding and doing all these things. Now, I'm just talking the language because I just heard it. And so I connected with my now business partner, Quan Clark, and he had the technology background. And so I always believe in that if you just start moving in the direction you wanna go, all the resources that you need will just show up. And sometimes we get stuck with looking for the resources, but we're not focused on the plan. And if you focus on the plan, all the resources will show up. So we focus on the plan, and all the resources that we need came knocked on the door. And so going into 2020, we still didn't really have, I ain't never ran a technology school. They looked at me as the dry cleaner man. Like, how you gonna be in the technology space? You the dry cleaning man, so, but people really start to sign up. And so we were signing people up. Our very first day of classes was March the 3rd, 2020. So the very first day of classes was the day that I lost everything. And then 2 weeks later, COVID hit. So if you just think, if I didn't listen to that voice, like God was preparing me by giving me that impartation to say, you need to do something. Because this is coming. You don't know it's coming. But I'm gonna prepare you for this storm that's gonna elevate you to a whole nother level. And so, the storm hit, COVID hit, we went virtual, and then we was on Roland Martin. And then from Roland Martin, it's been it's been crazy. And so it's just like really having your steps orchestrated by God is just a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And it just really strengthened my faith to really realize that, listen, man, you know, those voices that you hear to make a move, you don't know why you're hearing those voices and you're scared, you need to make a move because it's preparing you for something that you do not know. And a lot of times people they avoid those voices and then they get into a situation.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yo, man, I had the answer to this.
Yeah.
But so that's what the book is about. They're available, joshuamundy.com, as well as they're here as well if you want to grab one. And I will say another accomplishment this year was, let me think about that.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
Yeah, come back to me. Let me think about that.
Kirbee, talk to us about Nourish, a guide to coming home to yourself. That was 2023, right? As well.
So it started coming to life in 2022, but 2023 was really kind of the debut of a lot of the dreams and the visions with Nourish. And much like Josh, a couple of things. I'll talk about a few different layers with that brand and that idea that was born out of tragedy. The word nourish is so encouraging when you think about it, but really that word has been important to me for many years. I've loved it, but it became increasingly important in a tragedy in my life where my parents were in a tragic car accident. And it just changed all of our lives. And this year will mark 5 years that happened, but that journey thrust me into a position that you're just never ready for. My mother was paralyzed in that accident, has a traumatic brain injury, and I'm now her primary caregiver. And out of that space, I was keeping all the balls in the air in my corporate career in healthcare at Vanderbilt. I was trying to keep my entrepreneurial life alive and then now take care of both my mom and my stepdad, along with, family help and others, but I was the primary point. And that is where that feeling that I alluded to earlier, where I just felt like, I'm here, but I don't feel like I'm fully here. And on that journey, there was that stark realization that no one outside of you is really going to come to save you. You have many resources and people are geographically close to you and you're in relationship with people. But if you're anything like me, there have been points in your life where it just doesn't land, right? And so that word nourish kept coming back to me. And it was actually on a journey, Brittany and I, when we have time to talk more about it, we were doing 75 Hard together. And during that time, through that discipline, it was that spark, much like what Josh has talked about, and Brittany, you've alluded to this before, where it was like, the time is now. And so I returned to one of my first loves, which was writing. And I allowed myself to we all need to put ourselves in that space where we're willing to be misunderstood outside of the boxes that people see you in to really fulfill your purpose. So I returned to my love of writing and really the things that were helping me feel more like myself again, to be my integrated self so I could show up. And that was cooking and writing and also affirmation. So Nourish, a guide to coming home to yourself, is this compilation of those things. And I wrote it because I needed it. I wrote it because I realized others would need it. And it's just something that can be accessible so that if you feel like, I don't know how to get from here to there, you can pick this up. You can pick a beautiful recipe. You can scan the code and get the playlist. You can go into a meditative journaling practice and really come home to yourself because there's so much intelligence there. So I'm proud of that work. And that work has taken me on a global journey. And there have been some really beautiful things that have happened this year, doors that have opened that wouldn't have otherwise opened if I would have just said, well, what if they don't understand? What if I don't know how to do it? And believe you me, I had all those thoughts. But then you put one foot in front of the other. So I'm really proud of that work. Another area that I would say I'm really proud of is kind of being that multi-hyphenate person, not fitting into any box. And 2023 brought on the addition of real estate into my Nourish ecosystem, because when we talk about nourishing ourselves, that's both emotional, mental, physical, but where you lay your head, where you gather your family, where you gather your friends, and where you make your investment also is a huge part of Nourishing. And I've had some beautiful client stories this year, people who have just expressed gratitude that I've been able to help them get from where they were to where they thought they would be maybe in 2-3 years, but we were able to do that this year and really change the financial trajectory for them and their families. So I'm really proud of that. And the willingness to color outside the box, because people are like, wait, is she in healthcare? Is she a chef? Is she a writer?
Does she sell popcorn?
Wait, I've seen her on TV and then I had her popcorn. What is she? And I just like to say I want to be unapologetically Kirbee and live the width and the length of my life. So I'm really proud of that I've nourished myself and all that multi-hyphenate nature and that's poured out into the world and returned in some really beautiful ways. So I'm really proud of that.
Hey Thriver, I'm excited for you to get your hands on your copy of the Blueprint to More Visibility and Influence. This is a powerful free resource that's designed to catapult your influence and amplify your impact in your business or company. Now, this isn't just another online guide. This is your strategic companion that's going to walk you through the world of personal branding and authentic leadership. Inside, you'll unlock essential strategies that are going to help you do a few things. One, sharpen your self-awareness and own your unique story, navigate the complexities of workplace dynamics with more confidence, elevate your presence in any room, and ensure that you are not only seen, but also heard and valued. Why wait for opportunities when you can create them? With this blueprint, you'll learn how to cultivate a personal brand that commands respect and opens the door for new opportunities. And the best part, you'll start seeing the world differently, not just as a place where you fit in, but one where you stand out. You'll transform your self-doubt into more self-assurance and turn your aspirations into tangible achievements. So join me in our community of thrivers who are making their mark. Don't let this moment pass you by. Head on over to letsThriveTogether.com to download your free copy of the Blueprint to More Visibility and Influence today. Start your journey and let's thrive together. And that's one of the reasons why I love this, like having both of you all, because I think both of you are such great representations of that. So I want you to add, Josh, but I also, so y'all can let this marinate, I want y'all to really lean into that people don't really know who you are, where to put you. I feel like both of you have elements that are probably often misunderstood. Yeah. People that are like, oh, they're doing too much. Why they doing that too? He supposed to be having a school. Why he DJing? Why, she's supposed to be selling popcorn. Why she doing real estate? Like, people have a lot to say that if you aren't strong-minded, it can really keep you in your head. So Josh, please add, but then I want y'all to really lean into like, how do you navigate all the different spaces and then all the naysayers who say you're doing too much?
That's what I was going to ask. Like, how do you really quiet those voices? Like, because I really got into a space of like, okay,
we here. We on the mic.
Like, I don't give a, you know what I'm saying? I don't care. You're like, because it's like, I cannot take opinions to NES. They do not accept them. Studio Bank does not accept them as well. Citizens doesn't accept them. So at the end of the day, like, am I going to do what's making me happy, or am I worried about what everybody else has to say? And if your words can stop something that was coming to me, that means I didn't need it. So if you're in a meeting and you're saying, well, no, we don't need to partner with Pivot because he's down at EGMC DJing. He got a fellas night going on. I don't know what that is. I don't know how focused he is. And, I hear all of that. But like all of that, I'm a communal person. So I believe in building community. And when I build community, that's how I get the deals. Yeah. Like, people like Josh. They don't like the representative. They want me to be me. And I'm me in all spaces. I'm me in the boardroom, and I'm me wherever I am. I'm me. So, and people accept that. And if you can't accept that, then I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. But do I have those thoughts? Like, I get the question in myself, like, man, I probably am doing too much. Like, I probably need to reel it in a little bit. Like, but then I was having a conversation today in the office. I'm like, bro, I don't want to be the face of everything. Yeah. Like, I got to figure out, like, because I have an energy and I know how to galvanize and bring people, but it's like, okay, how do I navigate all these great ideas? And I can put other people in position and put their face out there, but it's still kind of like my energy and flow. So I'm trying to navigate that, because this is a fine balance.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Being in the spaces and the meetings, the type of meetings I have, the type of people I'm meeting. And, I don't really want to stop deals, but me being loud, I call it getting loud. Like, me getting loud has literally built Pivot to where it is. I'm loud on LinkedIn. I'm loud on Instagram. I'm loud, but it just draws the attention. And they say, man, what you got going on, man? Let me figure out how I can help you. That's how I got Google. I got Google because I was on a podcast talking, and the lady got off she said, I'm gonna connect you with this tech equity collective.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And then I got a call and they was like, okay, we're gonna send you this check. And I'm like, okay, cool. So it's like, it's a fine balance. You just have to figure it out.
For sure. You said something that we'll make sure that y'all learn more about it, but we just dropped the Confident Speaker Lab because literally everything that you want to see manifest in your life is in your mind and is also made manifest through your mouth. So being able to like confidently communicate, to be able to, and it's not like you got to be the best storyteller in the world, but you have to be able to gather all the details and pull together a clear, concise, and compelling message around who you are, what it is that you want or where you want to go, and the impact that you're going to bring to that space, whether you're in corporate and especially if you're a business owner, it helps you get deals, whether you're on podcasts or just in rooms. Kirbee, what about you? How do you handle all of the, what is she? Who is she? What's she doing now? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's fun. So much like Josh, there's not one deposit that's been made into my account on someone's opinion. There wasn't anyone's opinion that was with me for 5.5 months as I slept in a hospital. There was no one's opinion was sitting right next to me when I was looking at my mom in a coma trying to figure out, okay, what's next? There's no one's opinion that helped me learn to navigate how to take care of a paralyzed person and then also navigate all that, entrepreneurship is. No one's opinion showed up in that space. But you know what did show up in that space? Was the people that I connected with by being my full self and being in full color, the people who understood my essence, the people who understood me at a soul level. And there's something that happens when you're looking at someone. For me, in this case, it was my mom and my stepdad who simply were just going to get an oil change, something we've all done, and then woke up in a hospital and would never be independent again. There's something that wakes up inside of you that realizes that if I have to choose someone's discomfort, I'm going to choose yours. And I'm going to be the fullest, most true version of myself because I see my gifts, my unique blend of gifts mixed with what I've studied for years and what I've poured myself into years as on loan to me. Yeah. And that's different. And so if you struggle with that type of thing, I invite you into that invitation that your gifts, your ideas, that spark, that voice, that thing that won't leave you, think about that being on loan to you from God. You treat that differently when it's on loan to you, and then you can kind of fortify yourself a little bit more because I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again because I don't want you to miss this, that this is finite. It ends. This all ends. And I've been sharply reminded of that. But we have infinite potential. So we get to play in that tension. And so that doesn't leave a lot of room for leaving opinions. So when I think about waking up in Italy, in London, in Paris, doing what I love, no one's opinion put me on that plane. No one's opinion put me in those rooms. No one's opinion took me into spaces where I could do what I love and connect with people on a global level and to build what's been in my head and heart. That was no one's opinion, but it's the people that are inspired by what you do and you being your truest version. And another part of this is just making this agreement that both audiences will always be present.
Yeah.
You're never going to please everyone, but the people who are waiting for you, you better be about the business showing up for them. And there's another quote that I love, and I'll paraphrase it by Henry David Thoreau that says, most people live their lives in quiet desperation and go to their grave with their song still in them. And I refuse. I refuse. And so that quiet desperation, that's part of my journey is to like, as I nourish myself, to nourish you, to give you the language, to give you the skills to say, maybe, because I don't want to be quiet with this desperation. If I'm desperate, let me put my needs out there. If I'm desperate, how do I fortify myself? And how do I actually live this life that is really me? But who wins? If you do the things that aren't really you, if you go to bed and you can't really be satiated by the day that you lived, who wins? There's no prize for that. I promise you that. And so for me, that keeps me fortified, that keeps me on the path. And courageous action is rewarded. Yeah. Donald Miller, our mentor, reminded me of that. Courageous action is rewarded. And sometimes it's courageous to risk being misunderstood, but then just really getting quiet. Meditating, spending time writing and journaling and seeing myself on a soul level, that doesn't leave a lot of room for other people's opinion to deter me. So that's what I say. This journey of this last few years has really woken up in me. And that's what I'm on a journey to do for people. And then my hope is maybe you live inside of a house that I sold you and you've got great equity while eating my popcorn, while reading my book and then watching my show.
Come on.
And then maybe you're going to board a plane to come to an international retreat that I'm hosting. That's my hope. And then maybe you will get the picture then. So that's my hope.
I love it. I love seeing people step unapologetically into who they were designed to be.
Yeah.
Like that divine design, like you were prepackaged with that. Like that, I knew you when you were in your mother's womb.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was. It was like, I knew who she would be.
Yeah.
And the more you spend time suppressing that, you never experience all that you are and will experience. And it's powerful. Like I know y'all can feel it in the room. I know people can feel it that are listening to it. It's palpable. Yeah. Right. And we need more people to live in that level of authenticity. So listen, if you've got about 10 more minutes to stick around and listen, what I want to transition us into is a snippet of a Nourish night, because our plan for the space today was to kind of transition, but I want to be mindful of time. And I think Josh and I would make great candidates for how you typically do your Nourish nights. Yeah. And so we're open and willing to share our experience.
Let's do it.
You lead us through a reflection of how we can tap deeper into who we are. And hopefully this will help us as we are spending time, whether you're listening to this in 2023, whether you're sitting in the room in 2023 and you're going to take your guide and go back the end of this week and get going, or you'll wait for the new year to kind of think about this year. But we hope that it anchors you in living a more full, a more intentional, and a more authentic 2024. So Kirbee, talk to us. Nourish nights.
Yeah, let's do it. So I will take you on a brief but impactful journey, because we've been here for a while. But this matters. I'll say some of the darkest days in my life are when I felt overwhelmed and under-resourced. So we're going to leave here resourced tonight. Brittany's done a beautiful job. Josh has done a beautiful job. Mignon has done a beautiful job. And Mignon's one of the people who's been speaking to my life for years. And it's been so beautiful. So beautiful. So we're going to go on a journey. So one of the hats that I love, you heard me mention my career in healthcare. I studied biology and chemistry, and I love to understand how the body works. So let's use our bodies a little bit. So put your feet flat on the ground if you can with me, and feel being supported. And then if you feel safe, which I think we're in a safe place, close your eyes with me. And as you do that, just roll your shoulders back. Really sink into that moment and feel yourself being supported by the seat that you're sitting in. Really be mindful. And as you do that, pull in a really deep breath and hold it at the top. Hold it. Let your body know it's safe. And release. Now, before you open your eyes, go ahead and take your neck on that journey and roll that around as you are deepening your breath, being mindful of your body and your breath, witnessing the miracle that it is to be here. And I'm going to teach you something that you can use. And don't worry, your eyes are closed. If you feel silly, none of us see it. It's a way to pull your body into safety, because many of us live in that fight or flight mode. So take 2 inhales through your nose and then a long exhale through your mouth, kind of like this. Let's do it again. Third time, 2 through your nose and release. And that's partnering with the science of our body. When you breathe like that, it tells your body that you're safe, that you're here, that you're present. So now that we're kind of come back to rest and you've noted, I'm safe, I'm supported, let's bring our eyes back together. Let's go on a short journey together. I said earlier that meditative journaling changed my life. And for me, it was a space where I could be really honest, because many of us are groomed to be people pleasers. And so even when I was going through those hardest chapters of my life, I felt like I had to tailor my answer. Oh, I'm fine. I'm making it. here's the progress. Has anybody felt like that before? But then meditative and hyper-personal journaling, I allowed myself to pour it out and get really, really honest, and that's where transformation came. So that's a short journey that we're going to go on tonight. You're going to leave tonight with some resources to get really honest with ourselves. There is a QR code in the back. Mignon, if you all want to float that around, it's not imperative, but it gives you a tool. You get a feelings wheel on that. But we're going to go on a journey and do a little reflection. And I can't wait to hear what you and Josh have to say. And I want to hear maybe for some people in the room. But we're going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to think about our 2023 through a different lens. Because sometimes we get so wrapped up on the calendar dates and we don't look at the bigger picture. And there's a quote that I love that says, take care of the moments and the years will take care of themselves. So let's feel the texture of some moments together. So if we think about 2023 in review, and Brittany, thank you for that great backdrop that you gave us earlier. Let's play with time and space a little bit. I like that. So let's invite the 6-year-old version of you, six-year-old version of you into the room. I know you're like, Kirbee, that sounds crazy, but we can do this. Invite that 6-year-old version and imagine that they sit right down next to you. And that 6-year-old version has taken a look over your 2023 as well. What would that 6-year-old version of you be really proud of? What would they be excited about? What would they ask you questions about? Brittany, I'd love to hear.
Wow. So the 6-year-old version of me wanted to be a cosmetologist because my aunt owned a beauty shop, and in South Nashville, so on Saturdays, we would go, and I always remember telling my mom I wanted a beauty shop where when you walked in, you could buy the products, you could buy the shampoo and the relaxer or whatever in the shop, which was not my aunt's shop, but I went to these other shops. I'm like, okay, I want a shop kind of like what she has, but kind of like this. So I think my 6-year-old self will be proud that I'm a business owner and proud that this has been revenue-wise our best year in business yet. She would be proud.
She'd be proud. And the reason why that's a powerful exercise, and I invite all of you all to think about that, is it offers some compassion. Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves, but sometimes to have that view of curiosity and excitement of that 6-year-old version, what they would see in your year. Because they're not going to be like, well, I looked at your books and, I'm disappointed. They'd be like, wow, So Josh, what would your 6-year-old version sitting there right now say, okay, I've looked at 2023 and I'm proud, I'm excited. Tell me more about.
Yeah, I think my 6-year-old version of me would be like excited because like I've always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, like a business owner. And I talk about this in my book, like my mother always worked for entrepreneurs. So I always like wondered like, where did it come from? But it was just like my environment.
Yeah.
And like some of the things like I reflect on. So when we were kids, we used to go to the laundromat. We didn't, we stayed in an apartment. So we didn't have a washer and dryer in the house. So going to this laundromat every week, I would see this old man going there, emptying out all the change in the machines.
You said, what does he do?
And me and my brother was like, man, we want to do that. But to then be in the laundry business.
Yeah.
Like 20 or some 30 years later, it's just like crazy to me. So like, I think my 6-year-old self would be like proud.
Yeah.
He would be proud that like, I really took care of myself this year. Like I went on vacation and I got massages and got my hands and feet scrubbed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just did like things that like really nourish myself. You know what I'm saying?
It's something to
Yes.
I love that.
Be proud. Like, man, you did that. Man. You took care of yourself.
You did it. It's a powerful exercise, and thank you for going on that journey. We're going to go a little further on this journey together because show of hands if you want to. I'll do it with you. Who did something in 2023 that they probably wouldn't do the same way again? Anybody? Maybe often called maybe a mistake or opportunity. That's me. So we're going to go on a journey with that 6-year-old self and imagine that 6-year-old self was right beside you. either when you made that mistake or when you were having that self-talk about that mistake. Because that self-talk, like Josh, like you mentioned, can be really toxic. And imagine that 6-year-old version of you felt some responsibility for how it was done. How would that change? And I'd love to hear what you all would say about this. If that 6-year-old self was sitting right there with you and could hear that self-talk, how would it change how you talk to yourself? Would you maybe shift some of that strong language and maybe ask yourself, do I want to try again? What did you learn from this? What would that look like for you if 6-year-old Brittany, if mini Josh was sitting right next to you while you were going through some of that internal conversation? What would those conversations look like? How would you temper them?
Yeah, they would definitely probably be a little softer.
Yeah.
In tone, and probably less often. You know, I think the 6-year-old version of me would wonder, like, how is this your best year yet? But it also is probably the year that you did spend a few more days under, you know, with your covers pulled up over your head, like, I'm not doing this today. Like, you know, kind of what's up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if that 6-year-old version was right along with it, I imagine you'd get her some of her favorite snacks. You'd talk to her a little bit more gently. You'd really guide her in that process. And that's what I invite you all to do as you think about this. Josh, what would that look like for you if micro Josh was along for the ride when you were, and you could, I don't use mini Josh, micro Josh, all the things. What would that look like if he could hear some of that internal self-talk? How would you change
Well, Josh
it?
be out here talking to his subconscious mind, so he probably he got this. Okay.
No, we be battling, you know, we be like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I really spend time with that because I really noticed how that self-talk talked me out of a lot of things. So I think my 6-year-old self will just be, I think I talk to him every day, you know, we like just reflecting on like the day and really how I want to conquer the day. And so I think my 6-year-old self would probably just tell me to continue on that journey of like fighting those thoughts that those defeating thoughts that go against what you know what's inside of you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it's a powerful exercise too, to keep that image in mind, because sometimes when you can't do it for this version of you, if you look into the eyes of that version, you can. I keep a picture of my 6-year-old self on my phone because sometimes when you just have all this for this version, I can look into her eyes and say, okay, we can get up. We can do this again because you deserve the life that we're going after. So we're going to go on another really, really quick journey, and we're going to bend time and space one more time. And now we've got our 70-year-old version of ourselves.
Oh, Lord.
They still fly. They still got it. They did some things. Imagine that 70-year-old version of yourself. So take a moment. What's she looking like? What is it looking like? And they come and have a seat right next to you. And they're looking at your 2023 with you. What are they thanking you for? And it's powerful. What's that 70-year-old saying? Brittany, thank you for...
I feel like I'm having a therapy session right now.
Welcome to Nourish Night.
And shout out to all those who, you know, who make therapy a proactive part of your care, preventative part of your care. She would say, wow, this is the year that changed everything.
Come on.
Not because you saw the manifestation of the decision in the year of 2023, but because you decided on better that allowed you to experience everything that I've experienced at 70. This was the year that changed everything.
Come on. I love that. Josh, what about you?
So my 70-year-old self will probably say,
What's he thanking you for?
thanking me for like taking care of myself. Like he's really thanking me for really living life out loud, like leaving it all on the court. That's what they say. Leaving it out like, you know, putting up as many shots as I could. If it worked, cool. If it didn't work, cool. But just kept the strength to keep fighting and adjusting along the way.
Yeah.
And having fun with it is really my mantra. Like, if I'm gonna do it, I just want to have fun.
Have
with
some
it.
fun with it.
Yeah.
And as we wrap, we're going on a little bit more of a journey. And you know how we put our feet on the ground early and we took a deep breath? Let's do that again together. Feel supported, because this final journey, that 70-year-old version of yourself that's a little bit more weathered, they look good. They've been on a few more rounds of that roller coaster ride that we've described. They've learned to surrender and let go a bit. Imagine they're sitting right here with you, and they kind of are taking your hand in their hand. And they're looking at your 2023 and they say, I understand why you did it. I understand, but you deserve better. You can do more. Stop playing small. That 70-year-old version looking at you saying, I love you and I have compassion, but looking at this year, let's not take that into next year. Fill in the blank there. What is that thing? What's coming up?
Oh.
And these are all journeys I go on with myself. I cry. I do all of it. So, but it's been transformative. So thank you for going.
That's why you get the request to do this around the world, because you are phenomenal. My 70-year-old self would say to stop allowing other people's perception that you're everywhere and doing a lot keep you in the mediocre place that you know that you're in.
Okay.
Because you know there's more.
That's right.
But you're not reaching for it.
Okay.
And so I think it would be how I translate that question, like what I would be leaving in 2023 is letting the vision be the measure of how hard or soft my foot is on the pedal, not the results. So not the blowing past the goal, not the feeling like I'm everywhere, or maybe I'm doing too much, or maybe I'm the face of too many things. Like really feeling like by any means necessary, we're pursuing the vision.
Yes. So good. Josh, same for you. He's taking your hand. He said, okay, I know why you did it, but no more. What does that look like?
I would say facing the hard things. Like I'm a huge avoider. Like I hate conflict.
Oh my gosh.
Like conflict.
You're in good company up here saying.
Right.
Having hard conversations is one thing I hate doing.
Yeah.
And so that's something I want to leave behind in 2023. So in 2024, to be able to face hard things, solve hard things, and keep it pushing is really the thing that I want to challenge myself to do.
So good. Yeah. And that reminds me of another quote that I love that says, don't sabotage your peace because chaos is familiar. Yeah. So everything that we've done in the room tonight, and Brittany, thank you just for making the space and opening here, is an invitation and a catalyst. We get to continue this journey, and we deserve to continue this journey. And for me, I'll say the word nourish is important to me because nourish means providing something, its optimal environment for its highest good. So as you go through the tools that Brittany has provided, hopefully you'll continue to meditate on these prompts and do them more. Consider it through the lenses of the 6-year-old self, the 70-year-old self, but then also consider it through the lens of what is my optimal environment for my highest good. I get to say, I get to pour into what lights me up. I get to leave behind the things that don't fit anymore. You get to do that. You get to really nourish yourself. So Brittany, I really appreciate you. And thank you for inviting me to be on this journey with you tonight. And thank you all for going on the journey with me. Nourish nights aren't always this heavy, but they are, and happy. But really, we just deserve this. We deserve this radical honesty. We deserve this asking the big questions and sticking around for the answers, because that's what is life-changing. So thank you all so much for holding this space with me.
Thank you, Kirbee.
Here.
And I'm going to let Joshua wrap us up with just leave us with just a few words on how do we build unshakable faith for 2024, or if we're already in 2024 for the year ahead.
I just think that, we all have something inside of us that has been planted since we were born that we all have to tap into when life is at its highest challenges. And we know life is always going to life. It's always going to be something. I always talk to God and say, hey, man, can I get a 6-month run of nothing?
I know.
Somebody said, take me off the strongest soldiers list, please.
But understanding that you have something inside of you, that we're resilient people, and that you have to tap into it to get you to where you want to be. So don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing better than what you think.
Indeed.
And yeah, so that is my words for 2024. And Brittany, again, I always give you your flowers. You're doing such amazing work. I'm just impressed by everything that you're doing. Your work ethic is second to none.
Unparalleled.
And you just really have a great, genuine spirit. And you really don't meet a lot of people that are just genuine people. And so
Thank you,
I always
man.
like to give you your flowers.
I appreciate that.
For sure.
I appreciate that. Thank y'all so much for being here. This wouldn't have happened without y'all being in the room, and so many of you that made it happen. Actually, that charcuterie board that y'all loved. Oh, Kirbee, one of her layers. Okay. So thank y'all so much for being a part of this. Listen, if you enjoyed this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, rate, and leave a review. This was a powerful episode today with some phenomenal leaders, and we hope that it sets you up for this to be your best year yet. Until next time, let's thrive together. Hey Creative is a company that stands at the intersection of imagination and reality here in Nashville, Tennessee. They specialize in transforming events into memorable experiences as partners for brands and advocates for small businesses. At Career Thrivers, we've been a proud client of Hey Creative as they foster self-reflection, promote growth, and create moments that are beautiful and inspiring. Experience the magic of Hey Creative today by visiting heycreative.com.